welcome back to Build with the Boys. We've now got pack 11 of the Routemaster, and this is the penultimate pack. We've only got one more to go after this, and the bus is built. I'm hoping I can show you a bit more this time, because last time I kind of had to rush through it. I've been so behind with everything, I've just had to power through. So I'm hoping this will show you a little bit more. It is getting difficult to film, because the bus is so huge now. It takes up so much of the desk that there's nowhere really for me to place the camera to get a decent view of it. It's a problem with a lot of models. I mean, I never had this problem with the Ecto. You could always get around that. And I found this problem with, say, Iron Man or R2 and all like that. The Doll's House, for instance, will get bigger, but it's easier to film because you're only really working on one side. Whereas with the bus, I'm constantly having to pick it up and turn it around and spin it around, and it's a bit of a nightmare to film. But I'll do what I can. I'll film as much as I can. But I mean, ultimately, the bulk of this is panels and screws. So we are working largely on the back of the bus as well, because the only part of the bus so far that isn't really complete is the back. It's still fully exposed. So we've got the frame off. That's going to be going on. We're going to be adding the brake lights, the indicator lights, and then a lot of panel. I'm doing the last bit of wire tidy, thankfully. There's an irony to this. You get an extender cable with this one. When I did this in pack 10 yesterday, my cable just wasn't reaching. I was like, God damn it. I got old cables and made an extender cable for the bus, which I now don't need. And I'm like, that's annoying. But hey, it is what it is. But we do get an extender cable with this one. So if you're kind of thinking, oh God, mine doesn't fit, it will. We get an extender cable. And that's about it. So let's get into it. Let's get this one built. And this is the penultimate. We've got one more to go after this one. So looking forward to it. Let's get into it. So here's everything we get inside pack 101. Very little compared to what we've been doing up to this point. Not much at all. Got one pack of BP screws. And what we're going to do is we're going to attach these hinges to this vent, this grill here. This is going to touch the front of the bus. And then we've got two of the weather covers for the front windows. That's it. So very little to do, but I will crack on with it. Right, so we get these BP screws out. BP screws are bloody tiny. But they are what they are. Let's load one up. My old eyes are having problems with these tiny screws, I can tell you that. Funnily enough, I did an issue of the Titanic earlier in the month, and it's actually persuaded me to book in an eye exam, because I think it's time to admit that I'm not as good as I once was. I mean, I'm as good once as I ever was, but I'm not as good as I once was. Okay, so we are going to go... Cannot see how that goes on there, unless it goes that way around. So a quick check of the instructions. So it's with the hinge piece outwards. You have to give my fingernails. I've been making a Halloween outfit at the moment, and there's paint bloody everywhere, but that Halloween outfit, funny enough, will be up on the channel. You'll be able to see it, but I've got paint just ground under my nails at the moment. Right, let's get this screwed in. Yeah, right, okay. Magnifiers and headlamp. I'm making a meal out of this part. It's sort of washed out, but I need to see what I'm doing. Wow. There we go. There we go, there we go, there we go. Okay, so that's one in. Let's get the other one in. Let's hopefully this will go a lot easier than the first one. He says that might be famous last words. Yeah, my eyes are starting to fail me, quite sadly, so it's time for some serious glasses, and I think wearing these giant magnifiers on my head probably aren't helping the eyesight. They're helping me see in the immediate, but in the long term I'll probably do more damage than good. So that's that one built. So what we're going to... Get this light off. We're going to attach this to the front of the bus, these two as well. Now I've got to bring that up. So I'm just going to attach it to it, and then we'll take a look at what it looks like at the end. You can see 101 complete. So we've got the two weather covers up here installed. And we've got this grill installed here. Now that is hinged, so we can open that up. And ultimately that's how we're going to access changing the sign. So that's it. Let's move on to 102. So this is what you get in 102. Now this is all a bit weird, because this is a roof panel. We do have an extender cable. I'll tell you a story about the extender cable in a minute. But we're not using any of this. So none of this is getting installed at this stage. So I'm not even taking out the packaging because there's no point. We're attaching the back end to the bus. Very weird. And we've got the parts, but we're just not using it. Very, very odd. Now, extender cable. I wish I'd known. Because when I put my wiring in, I was concerned the end wasn't going to reach. It was too short. I thought, that's not good. So I made an extender cable. I spent way too long doing it. And then I've just seen this and gone, you got to be kidding me. So it's at least done. Anyway, all I'm doing is tidying the wires up. So I'm just taping wires to the bus. I'm not going to, you don't want to watch me tape wires to a bus. I'll show you what it looks like at the end. And then we are going to be installing the rear bus panel, which I'll just grab here, the rear bus frame, which is this piece, to the actual bus's stuff. And that's all we're doing. So I'm going to get that done, then we'll take a look. Okay, so that is the rear end of the bus on. And that wasn't fun. That wasn't fun at all. That was an absolute grind, but it's done, it's on, I'm happy. So we're moving on. Okay, so we've got that stage done. We've put the panel in, we've fitted the roof panel. That wasn't fun at all. And now we fit our first side panel as well. We've put some more paneling on the front here. And it's looking really rather lovely. Got to move on to the next one now. And there we have it. So we have this section on as well now. So we've got the bars in as well, waiting for the side panel to come around here. We've put all of the front bars on as well. So the front of the bus is pretty much complete now. There's nothing else really to go on there. And that's it. We're done. I think we are moving on to the back end of the bus now. So here are our parts for 104. Now there's a few other pieces of trim as well. We've got those there. We're going to put this together whilst the bus is on the floor. So we don't have to keep lifting it and putting it back down again. Now we're going to install this with just BP screws. Now what I do like about this is it's like a plexiglass, which means that light that's going to go behind it is really going to come through there. So that should light up quite nicely. And I will say this, the bus has got very nice lights. It's not harsh, it's like a glow. And I think that's a really sweet thing, because I mean, this isn't, as strange as it is to say, this isn't an aggressive model. What I mean by that is a lot of what we build tend to be, machines of war or speed, or but this is not that. This is a very chill kind of vibe to it, and it's part of what I love about this. It's a relaxing build. It's a relaxing thing. We're not making a machine of death or an alien ship or something like that. So that one goes on there, and then this piece will fit over here like so. I'm going to fix that with BP screws. I've got one ready to go here. Yeah, I hope you know what I mean by a non-aggressive build. I mean, as an example of that, I'm building Iron Man. He's just a war machine, if you forgive the pun. And then, of course, we've got the Titanic, which again is not a machine of war, but it's certainly a very tragic vessel. And it's this massive feat of engineering. It's all very grand, and Ecto 1, of course, was a was the Ghostbusters car, but again, I mean, it's the excitement, the speed of it. R2-D2 is Star Wars, but then this one's just chill. This is just a very nice little throwback to the 60s, nice piece of nostalgia. No sort of crazy, gadgets and doodads and things like that. Just a nice reminder of a bygone era. I mean, like, I showed somebody the interior of mine, and they asked me where the hood is filming a TikTok, and the crackhead begging people for money. And the only thing I could reply, I'm like, well, it's a 1966 routemaster. The world hadn't gone completely to crap by that point. But he's got a point. A modern bus would be very different. And that's, again, I think that's part of my kind of nostalgia for this build. I mean, I wasn't around in 1966, but I mean, I can certainly remember these buses. And I remember when I was a kid, I used to get a double-decker to school every day. And I can remember the seats. So when the seat pattern was sort of shown on this one, I'm like, Christ, I remember those. That weird kind of tartan, that check. And it was the same with the flooring as well. So part of me was, I was going to make the floor of the routemaster wooden, but I don't think it was. I remember the buses that I used to get had this weird kind of lino, and I know lino was becoming a big deal in the 60s. All those kind of rubbers and things like that were. And in my head, that's what actually was on the floor. It was like, it wasn't wooden. It wasn't a wooden flooring. It was like a lino, like a rubber. But maybe I'm wrong. I'm sure somebody out there knows. But I don't think they were. I don't think the floor of a routemaster was wood. It would look nice, but I don't think that's what it was. Okay, so we got a few more to go in here. Another one there. But this is why I've been filming a lot of this, because I'm just having a chat with you at the moment. But this is typically what it is. It's just me putting in screws. At this point, we're not really building parts anymore. We're just applying panels to the bus. And I don't know, maybe you like watching people put screws into things, but that's all I'm doing. Here we go. So that's that one complete. That's how we're looking now. And really rather lovely it is. That's the back view of it. So we're going to install this to the bus now, and it's really, really, really starting to come to life. It really is. This is going to be a beautiful addition. So that is that one fitted, and doesn't that look gorgeous all lit up? Next, moving on to building and then fitting the emergency exit. Okay, so we're at 106 and we are making the emergency exit. Emergency exits on top deck of buses always crack me up, because I mean, how bad's it got to be? Because this emergency exit is right next to the stairs. So I mean, I guess the stairs have got to be on fire. Something has rear-ended you so bad that I don't know, man. It's got to be pretty bad. If you're at this stage, it's got to be pretty bad to have to open this thing. The only thing I think of is if the bus is turned over, that you open this thing and get out, I assume. I mean, it can't be anything good. Fortunately, I've never had to use one. But what we're going to do is we're going to attach these parts together using CM screws. What's quite surprised about this, these aren't coloured screws. I find that slightly unusual, but okay. We are going into metal, so do I 3-in-1 this? No, I don't think I do, because I don't want any oil running down onto that glass. So I think we'll just make it work. He says, immediately not working. There we go. Easy enough. Right, so that's one in. So we've got the hinges to make, and then obviously the opening mechanism. This thing will work. It will have an emergency exit that will work, which I think is going to be a benefit if I ever need to get inside this bus. I mean, the reality of it is it's all sealed up now, so getting in is now impossible. But at least there is access to the top deck if I can get the world's longest tweezers to sort out anything that needs sorting out. But yeah, now this thing's sealed. It's sealed, and I have no interest in taking it apart. I actually saw somebody on one of the socials say their battery started smoking, and it sounds like their board is fried, and my heart goes out to them, because if you're a Pack 10, I mean, you've literally got to take the entire bus apart to fix that, or just accept the fact you ain't having electrics. I'd be furious. I would be absolutely furious, because I mean, as much as I've enjoyed building the Routemaster, I wouldn't want to have to take this one apart. I really wouldn't want to. There's one more in there. Okay, so that's that one together. Right, let me take a look at the instructions, see what we're doing next. Okay, so it's the hinges we're making next. I've made one already just to see what the lay of the land was. Now we've got another one to make here, which is this one. I'm going to drop that piece in there like so, and using a single XM screw, we should be able to go through one side and out the other. I hope. These are very long screws. Where we going? There we go. Tight on the other side. I have put a drop of 3M on this screw, just 3M1s, right, there we go. So that's it. That's that one. So we've got two hinges. Now, let's move on to the next part. Okay, so we've had our hinges on here, and now we're going to screw them into place using AM screws. So it's two of these in here. Now I'm not using 3M1. The reason why is because I get squeamish using 3M1 where the paint job is concerned, because what I don't want is oil marks all over this lovely red paint. So I'm just making do. Now these aren't anything overly harsh, so you know you don't really need the 3M1. 3M1, I mean, as a rule, it just makes life a lot easier when you're doing these screws. But again, when it comes to using it, use it sparingly, because it will stain. And if you don't need to use it, don't use it. I mean, it's needs must for me. Sometimes you get these things where they're just not moving, and 3M1's ideal for it. Other times it's overkill. I mean, certainly don't use it with plastic screws, because there's just no need. So any screw that ends in an M, it's good for. It's been incredibly useful for R2-D2. Anyone that's built that, it's been really useful for that. And it was an absolute godsend on Ecto 1, and it has been on Titanic as well. There we go. Disney Doll's House, however, not a single screw, not one. It's all just wood build and decals, and yeah, not a single screw. There are screws later on, but very few of them. There's about a total of about 8 screws in the Doll's House. Here we go. So it's both of those in. Now I believe what we're doing is installing the bar in the next part, but that will be on the interior, one would imagine. Yeah, it's got to be. So I would imagine this is where we're going next, but I will double check. And I would be right. So we're going to be attaching this with 2 DP screws. So let's get, you know what, let's get one through and I can see where we're actually going. There we go. So it only attaches to this one side, because I'd imagine handle's going to hold the other part. These screws feel like too much for these holes, if I'm honest, but they've said DP, and that's what we're using, but these feels like too much screw. But that's what they're saying to do, so we will do as we're told. Yeah, they just feel too snug. Feels like too much screw for the hole. But that's okay.
Dad, these wires are really, really loose.
As you can hear, I have a WrestleMania question. Apologies for that, but it's half term and they're playing WrestleMania, and the ring needs fixing. Dad's where it's never done. So that's it. We just put those 2 screws in there. There's nothing goes into this side yet. So let's move on to the next part. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to take the emergency exit handle, and that's going to go through this side here, straight through. And that's going to sit over there like so. So again, through and down. There we go, right through. Then we're going to take this cover piece here. This is going to sit over the top of it. Now this can only go on one way, so it's got to go that way. And then we are going to hold this in place with a single fat-headed YM screw. So let's get one of those ready. This is definitely getting the 3-in-1 treatment, because I can already feel this is going to be snug as hell. So, touch in there, right. Hopefully this is not going to give us any jib. You big fat did, didn't you? I see what's happening. Okay. Is that meant to move? Surely not. Surely no. Instructions. We figured it out, right? So this has got to be pointed out that way. That goes in nice and tight. What's happening is this on the back was rotating, but I can show you now. If we turn this handle, there we go. So that's how our release is going to work. Now, nothing left to do but to install this to the back of the bus, and that will pretty much complete, well, it does complete all the top deck windows with this final edition. So let's get this installed. Now we can see this is fitted, so this will open. Let's back up. We lock it. Go nowhere. Very happy with that. Sorry about the wobbly camera. It's getting late and I'm tired. Happy with that. Let's move on. Here is everything for 107. Now we're not installing this. All we're doing is we're adding these parts to this, and we've only got the MP screws with it, so I'm assuming that's all we're going to be using. But we've got some brake light covers, a few other bits and pieces, so I'm just going to get this built. And that's it. I mean, we've added some indicators. That's well, some brake lights. That's what we've done. They just slot in, and it's 4 DP screws, and it's done. That's it. So not a lot to report on that one. I know in the next one though, we're adding a lot more detail to this one, so we'll get that filmed. And here we have it. I've put all of this trim on now. The back end of the bus is on and looking absolutely lovely. We tried the trims around the side, the trim at the bottom. It was a bit of a nightmare. It was a bit of a nightmare. And I mean, this is the thing. It's I've loved building this. These parts, a bit of grind. I mean, getting the holes to line up and things like this trim hasn't been fun, but it's a labour of love at this point, and I love it. So now we're going to put some side panels in. We're putting a side panel in here, and we're putting one in here. Again, it's just me screwing a panel into place. So I'm just going to get that done, and then we'll take a look. There we have it. The first body panels, proper body panels, now on. I'm very happy with them, I am. We are putting in one more panel along here, and then that is it for pack 11. We have it. So we have our second panel on. I've got the lights going at the moment, so you can kind of see what we've got going in the back there. Pretty thing. It's starting to look lovely now, and then next month we are just doing all the paneling. So all the paneling is going to be finished, and that's pretty much it. We've got some indicators to go on. I mean, there is no paneling on the other side of the bus. That's completely raw. So it's just going to be all these panels, more panels on the other side, and then we do get the advertising stickers. So we'll have the stickers along here. I think these come off to put the stickers on. If they don't, I'm taking them off, because that's going to bugger up the sticker, surely. We'll see, unless there's something I'm missing. I don't know. But it looks gorgeous. Let's have a quick chat. So that's that one complete. That's pack 11 done. And beautiful it looks too. I mean, it looks stunning now with the body panels going on. You can really see how this is going to look, and it just looks so red and shiny. It's gorgeous. I didn't enjoy that pack. This is the thing. I've enjoyed every single pack of Routemaster. I didn't enjoy that one. And the reason why is because, as is the tradition with any part work, the holes ain't particularly lining up well on the trims and on the panels. So there's a lot of kind of adjusting to get it in, and I think that this is a me problem. I think more than anything, I think I have to keep turning the bus around. It's heavy. I'm not looking forward to I'm looking forward to never have to lift that bus again. It's heavy now. It's ungaining. I'm going to turn it around, turn it around, turn it around. It's constant. So that's my only bugbear. But it has been gorgeous. I mean, it has been a fun build. There's nothing particularly challenging. I mean, this is the thing, that I haven't found anything on here particularly challenging at all. But as I said, it's if some of the holes don't line up quite right, that's a bit of a grind to sort of, you know, wiggle and adjust and loosen, and that's a bit of a nuisance. But I wouldn't say it's difficult. So that is it. Next month, in November, we will have pack 12. And that'll be it. That'll be the end of the bus. I'm looking forward to that. I am going to put the advertising decals on it. I know some people choose not to. I want them. So, I mean, a bus without advertising decals is weird to me. I think advertising decals on a bus is perfectly normal. I mean, in the UK, you don't really see them. The only time you see a bus that doesn't have that on them is if they're been converted into some, you know, party bus or day tripper thing. So, I mean, a normal sort of operating 60s bus would have that advertised on it, so I want it on mine. The figures are looking great in there as well now. I'm really happy with those. The lights will work, the sounds will work, everything is working. So, I'm a happy bunny about that. But the next one is due around about November 15th. So that's when we'll be done, and it'll be up on the channel, and that'll be the end of the Routemaster. If you haven't yet, please hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. It helps us massively. In a world where you can be anything at all, just be nice, and I will see you next month for the final part of Routemaster.